now we go back to Ayrton in that sad year of Williams when he finally moved from McLaren to Williams in a car in which he was never comfortable and was from a driving position point of view and obviously from a field point of view as well.
Yeah, and this is Silverstone testing, probably end of January or early February time. I think it was the first time that he'd driven the car, and there was actually snow, by the side of the track. It was freezing cold, and he didn't do very many laps. And I think this was the last lap that he did. And I was in the pit lane, and the previous lap, he hit a bump, and there's a massive shower of sparks. So I got on the pit wall, and I thought, well, he might do it again, and he did, and it was quite a spectacular picture. I was working for Keith Sutton at the time, and I'll never forget he was actually going through the films, going back to the excitement of looking at your images on film. And when he saw this picture, he was very pleased, put it that way. It was and it's been used a lot. It's actually at Silverstone on the as you go up to the photographer's room or the journalist's room. There's a great big print of it. So a few weeks after that, there was a job. I think Keith had the Williams. He was doing the Williams work, and there was a job at the factory. Ayrton was visiting the factory, and nobody seemed particularly keen to do it. And so they asked me if I wanted to do it. So I jumped at it and went down to Didcot, and the job was going to be Ayrton, a big group shot with everybody from the factory, with Ayrton in the middle. And so it started off, I was in reception, and I was the only person in reception, and then Senna arrived, and they said, "Yeah, just wait a minute or two." And so for like a couple of minutes, I was just sitting in the reception, and they had a one-third scale model of the 94 car in reception, and he was just kind of like looking around it, and it was he definitely had a presence. It was and then when I did the job, I set it up, and so there's Senna with everybody from the factory, and I stood up on a workbench, and I was just about to take the picture, and Senna being Senna with his kind of like attention to detail, and he spotted a balcony above, and he before I took it, he said, "Do you not think your picture would be better if you took it from up on the balcony?" And I kind of looked up, and I probably wasn't big enough to say, yeah, that would be better actually. I said, "No, this is fine," and I took it, and it was fine. But in actual fact, he was probably right. It probably would have made a better picture. But I always think that the kind of really great drivers have a sort of, they're able to think of other stuff, and that was it was a bit like that. It's a bit like that time at Spa when Schumacher had just crashed into Coulthard, and he was walking down the pit lane with a face like thunder, and Tom Clarkson was interviewing him, and despite being really annoyed, Tom was about to bang his head on an overhead pit gantry, and Schumacher just said, "Watch your head," and carried on walking. And it was kind of it was this thing that he's kind of aware of so much apart from just what's happening, And it was a bit like that with Senna. He was actually thinking how my photo could be improved, and he was probably right. But yeah, so I did. But that's another one of the great jobs that I've I look back on that job as one of the best ones I've done, because 2 weeks later he was killed, So, and I actually took that picture. I had a few prints, and I took it along with me. I took 3 or 4 copies, and I got him to sign them. And he signed 1 to 2 Tool, and he signed a few others and stuff. And I had one left, and he said, "Who do you want me to sign this one to?" And I said, "You can sign it to my mum and dad if you want." And so my mum and dad in their house in York have got I've got that picture, and it's signed to 2 Tools mum and dad, Ayrton Senna 94. So it's quite a nice thing.
Oh, what a lovely thing.
Yeah, but like I say, 2 weeks later, he was gone. So very sad.
You have 1,000 eyes that never fall asleep.